Afternoon. Good afternoon. So we're going to provide a little update from the last time that we had a briefing. I want to welcome Mayor Pro Tem Martin here, that's here with us, Senator Whitmire, Councilmember Amy Peck, as well as members from the ATF and Police Department that are joining us here today. So as far as the operation goes for the Houston Fire Department, we've moved away from the hazardous response. It's moved into the recovery phase at this point. We do have some search dogs that we've brought in to the scene to assist us with searching the area. At this time, it's still under the control of the fire department, the entire scene. We're going to proceed after in unison, I guess, in assessing the homes that are in the neighborhood to the west, and just for structural stability. As far as the operation, the rescue operation, as I said, we've moved into a recovery phase right now. It's going to be meticulous. It's going to take some time. We got members of the hazmat team, rescue team from the fire department, as well as ATF assisting us in this operation. We've set up a unified command with all the agencies that I mentioned here, and we're moving systematically, working our way back to what we'll call ground zero, I guess, which is the actual plant that blew up. We'll open it up for questions, but at this point, that's where we are in regards to the rescue and recovery operation from the Houston Fire Department. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague here, Acevedo, and he'll talk a little bit about the investigation portion of this incident. Seguro. Mire, a este momento, desde la última vez que hablamos, hemos pasado a otra fase de la investigación. Tenemos 3 perros que nos van a asistir con la investigación, también juntos con el ATF, juntos con el Departamento de Policías y las otras agencias que están aquí ayudándonos. La área todavía está segura, todavía no hemos accesado el daño que se ha hecho en la vecindad al oeste de este local. Pero a este momento vamos a proceder poco a poco, hasta que lleguemos hasta la área que fue donde ocurrió la explosión. ¿Sí? Okay.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I want to just say thank you, everybody, for your patience. It's been a long night for all of us, and the other thing that we want to throw out to our community, this community is a community of faith, to please pray for the 2 victims that we have uncovered here at the scene. These victims are high probability that they are employees of this company. Chief Pena, myself, Senator Whitmire, the ATF SAC here, Fred Malinowski, and Mayor Pro Tem and our council member have been in contact with the families. We've made it, we told them that we can't say 100% it's their loved ones, but you know, you connect the dots, the probability is high, very high that it's them. I can just tell you that the company that's involved has been nothing but cooperative so far with us. This is a company that's been here for many, many years, and in talking to the employees and their families, they're a pretty tight-knit group of people. I mean, they consider themselves extended family. So my condolences, all of our condolences go out to the families involved. And obviously, this is an area where, you know, it's not the most affluent neighborhood. So my thoughts are with all the individuals, whether they rent or own, that will potentially be displaced by this event this morning. And so for those that can help, just remember the Red Cross is set up. They're here in the area, and if you can help these families that are being displaced today, please let us know. I'm going to give you a quick overview of where we're at. I'm going to then kick it over to Fred Malinowski, is our colleague from the ATF. He's a special agent in charge here. And then we'll ask the Mayor Pro Tem or the council member if they want to say anything. And then at the end, we'll open up to questions to any of us up here. Jerry Pena, who's the Assistant Director over the Houston Forensic Science Centers here. If anybody has specific questions for him, but he's not planning on making a statement. First, let's start with the investigation. The investigation has been launched as a multidisciplinary, multi-jurisdictional investigation that is being conducted by the Houston Fire Department Arson Division, the Houston Police Department Homicide Division, and Environmental Crimes Division, with assistance from KHOU's office in terms of their Environmental Crimes Unit, and we do have a district attorney here on scene. This morning, in consultation with Chief Pena, we made a decision that one of the things that's really important when you have an incident like this is to know what's the causative factor, what happened. And we know that the ATF does a phenomenal job in terms and brings phenomenal capabilities in terms of these type of incidents. They've got a lot of experience in it. So we made a request through Fred Malinowski, who will speak after me, to the ATF in terms of providing their national response team. Fred, thankfully, sent it up 2 chains to the director of the ATF, Director Lombardo, who's a great leader, and obviously that they've approved it, and they will be here on the ground. So you have a federal and local joint investigation with those 3 entities. That investigation will has already begun, but until the fire department releases the actual scene from a safety perspective, investigators obviously won't be processing that scene. That immediate scene where ground zero occurred will probably be under police control for probably 4 to 5 days, but that should have a minimal impact on this community. We have some closures I'll go over. Gesner will remain closed for the remainder of this day. Gesner, which is this main street that we're on right now, between Gennard and Clay Road, will remain closed for the remainder of the day to facilitate all the emergency equipment and the investigators. There are 2 neighborhoods that have been impacted by this blast. The first neighborhood is West Branch neighborhood. We will be putting this out through our OEM and through our social media and others. And that neighborhood is from Goodrum Road on the north, Clay on the south, Shadowdale on the west, and Gesner on the east. Again, that's Goodrum Road on the north, Clay on the south, Shadowdale on the west, and Gesner on the east. The other neighborhood that is under police control right now because of damage to homes is the Carverdale neighborhood, and that is Gennard Road on the north. Again, this is the Carverdale neighborhood, Girard Road on the north, Clay on the south, Gesner on the west, and Talina Way and Holly Hook, which is a little area right up here. If you need to go to those neighborhoods, the only people that will be allowed in until further notice are residents. We will be having patrols in that area looking for anybody that might try to loot some of the houses that may end up having to be evacuated because they're deemed unstable by the fire department. And we will have those patrols 24/7 in the upcoming days. So stay out of that area. You will not be allowed to be in, to come in those areas. The other thing that's really important for the community, again, we put it out earlier, these blasts have tremendous power. We know that we've had blasts over the years where evidence is found a mile away. Do not assume that there's no evidence if you're just because you're a mile from here. Please, if you're within a mile or 2 of this area, when you get home, check around your yard, see if you find any type of debris, any type of evidence, whether it's human remains. Please let us know. We only have 2 people that are accounted for, and we have recovered 2 bodies. That doesn't mean that there's people that no one knows were in the area, and so we cannot say that whether or not there's more victims, but right now it appears a high probability there's only 2 victims. And so with that, Mayor Turner is on his way back. He will be back here on the ground about 5 p.m., and there will be one more briefing, more than likely later on early evening between 6 or 7 p.m., and that will be the final briefing of the day. And so with that, I want to turn it over very quickly, unless you want to do Spanish first. Anybody in español? Bueno, here we go. Ok, so en español, estamos para empezar, como dijo el jefe Peña, que la emergencia ya ha parado, no tenemos ningún peligro sobre esta emergencia, pero lo que sí tenemos es una investigación criminal que hemos empezado con la policía de Houston, la división de homicidios, y también con nuestros colegas en arson y nuestros colegas a nivel federal. Esta mañana el jefe Peña y yo tomamos la decisión de que queremos todos los equipos con especialización, y el ATF tiene una unidad que es excelente, y pedimos que su team nacional que venga aquí a Houston, y esta tarde van a llegar. Esta área, la calle que ven aquí, esta calle principal, esta calle no va a estar abierta, la Gesner, desde la Gennard al norte hasta la Clay. Esta carretera no va a abrir. Hay 2 vecinarios que han estado impactados por este evento, el West Branch que está al norte en la Goodrum, al sur en la Clay, al oeste en Saddledale y al este Gesner. Y el otro escenario es el Coverdale, que está al norte Gennard, al sur Clay, al oeste Gesner y al este Talina Way y Hollybrook. No van a poder entrar a esa área hasta el control del Departamento Policiaco de Houston. No van a poder entrar sin identificación si no eres un residente de esa área. También vamos a tener patrullas patrullando las 24 horas en estos vecinarios para asegurar que nadie esté robando a estas personas que son víctimas que desgraciadamente no van a poder vivir en su casa. Y esta área aquí va a estar cerrada donde está la investigación por 4 o 5 días. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to the SAC for the Houston field office, Fred Malinowski of the ATF, and then we'll turn it over from there to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Good afternoon. As the chief said, the ATF National Response Team is going to be coming in. They're traveling here today. I just want to give you a little background on that team. That team brings experts from across the country in. They've worked over 850 scenes. All major arsons and major explosives have happened in this country in the last 30 years have been worked by the National Response Team. They bring chemists, they bring explosive experts, they bring fire research experts, they bring canines, they bring electrical engineers, and then they have the ability to reach out and grab any other experts they need within the federal government. So they will be here. Just to give you a little background of what they've done in the past. If you remember when we had the major explosion in West Texas, that was a team that processed that scene. They also processed all the scenes during the Austin bombing case. They're ATF's most elite team, so we are bringing the best people from across the country in to make sure that we know exactly what happened during this incident. So thank you.
Okay, I want to add one other thing, because when you talk about criminal investigations and you talk about explosions, people start thinking of terrorism, they start thinking about intentional acts. As of right now, we have no indication that there's any terrorism nexus or of any intentional act. Having said that, this industry that we're dealing with, when you're talking about chemicals and you're talking about these type of industries, are highly regulated industries, very strict, stringent requirements in terms of a lot of things they have to do. And if we investigate and we find that things that were supposed to be done by either the primary company or vendors that are servicing their equipment and things of that nature, and then people die and we have explosions and all these other things, that can create a criminal offense. And so it's really important that the community knows that that's what we're investigating at this point, and there's no indication of an intentional act that led to the explosion in terms of wanting to make the explosion occur, either by some disgruntled employer or anybody else, or a terrorist event. Are everybody clear on that? Okay, thank you. Chief Pena wants to add one last thing, and then we're going to turn it over to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to clarify where we are on the recovery phase. We're conducting our primary searches in the area of the explosion. Okay, we've conducted a primary search in the neighborhood to the west of this location. In that area, we're also going back a second time for our secondary assessment and to ensure that there are no victims in those homes. Okay, no indication on the initial search, but we're going to do a more systematic search. We have, as I mentioned, rescue dogs along with us, members from the ATF and police department, to ensure that we're doing a systematic search of these neighborhoods. Okay, so we don't expect. Well, I'm not going to say anything else beyond that, and we'll have additional information if we find information that should be reported to the media. Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, as the chief mentioned, Mayor Turner lands at 5 o'clock today. We've been in constant communication with the mayor regarding this incident, and he sends his condolences to the two families. We have established a shelter at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's located at 4703 Shadowdale. Our next phase is moving from the shelter that we established into temporary housing for those families, because as you can see, a lot of these houses around this neighborhood are not going to be livable for a number of weeks. So we've moved from the shelter stage over to the temporary housing stage. So folks that have issues with the homes that they live in now, please head over to 4703 Shadowdale, and we'll work on the transition into homes from there. So thank you.
Hey, one other thing before we open it, do you want to say anything real quick, Councilmember? Sorry.
So our office is working on recovery efforts as well. If you have any donations that you'd like to drop off, please do so at the Duncan YMCA on Clay Road. They're available to take donations. And if anyone listening has any issues, any questions, any concerns, please contact my office at 832-393-3010. We're available to help. Thank you.
Karen, do you want to say anything on behalf of the state?
Just briefly, the state is monitoring it. I've been in contact with the DPS and the emergency center in Austin. They are not directly involved right now because of the excellent job of HPD and the Houston Fire. I would emphasize that this is a working class neighborhood. And the real tragedy is these individuals woke up this morning needing resources that, quite frankly, most of them do not have. So I would reach out to the faith community. The Salvation Army, Red Cross is present, and I think this is going to require a community effort, not only our agencies, but neighborhoods, adjoining neighborhoods, to reach out to these folks that do not have the resources that maybe other communities do. So just notice that this is a working class neighborhood, and they've got some real challenges. But let me say the Victim Assistance Program of HPD and Houston Fire that I've witnessed this morning, I cannot say enough about them. And our two chiefs have sat with the families, hugged the families. We're dealing with family members that are in the military that need to be expedited their travel. So I'm just here to say the state is impressed with the local community operation and certainly these agencies. But I think in days to come we will do a review by the TCQ and other agencies if warranted. But at this point it's certainly too early to energize those agencies.
Hey, one last thing that I'm not sure if I tweeted. I'm a Twitter bug. We have one family who we believe is one of the deceased employees. The son is a 21-year Marine, 21-year-old Marine, and so you guys need to tag the United States Marine Corps at Camp Lejeune. The family has contacted the Marines, and the Marine says until there's 100% certainty he will not be released. Well, Marines, we need you to release that young man to get him home.
We're working on it.
We're a family. We shouldn't have to get the president involved. We shouldn't have to get anybody involved. We all know what the right thing to do. So please tweet at the Marine Corps. Let this Marine get on a plane and get home to his family, because no matter what, his family needs him. And you can't be a family in words. And simplify aren't hollow words. Get that Marine home, get him on a plane, get him home to Houston. With that, we'll open it up to questions.
Hey, Chief, can you speak to the gender of the
2 males. They're 2 male Hispanics, a long time. Again, it's not 100%, but probability being what it is. We don't have any other people that are looking for their family members. Their vehicles are here. You connect all those dots, but you can't say until you definitively identify them that it's 100%. But we're not in the business of keeping people false hope. And so the probability of it not being the 2 male Hispanic employees are pretty slim.
Were they the only 2 people in the building?
They're the only 2 people that were injured there that we're aware of. Again, we've got cadaver dogs here. We'll start doing a secondary search. But I can tell you that, like I told them, they're people of faith. There was somebody that was very close. His truck went flying, and all he ended up was with cuts. That's the person that was transported.
Chief, can you talk a little bit about the propylene? I know
that I'll talk to the fire chief. I'm a cop. We can't even say that word, so I'll
Chief,
turn it over.
¿podría decir en español que se trata de 2 víctimas hispanas y de la
Sí.
necesidad de su hijo?
Mire, pensamos que los 2 empleados que murieron aquí, que estamos casi 100% seguros, son hispanos. Llevan muchos años trabajando con esta compañía. Son una compañía que es como una familia. Y uno de los hijos de 21 años está en las marinas de los Estados Unidos en Camp Lejeune. Necesitamos los Marines que mande ese muchacho para acá para que su familia. Okay, thank you. Chief, that's for you.
There was talk about propylene earlier.
Yes.
And today there was a concern about it. Is it still a concern? What does this do?
No. At this time, we've secured the tank. So they have a 2,000 gallon propylene tank on scene. The valving has been secured for the pipes that were leading into the warehouse where the manufacturing was, whatever process they do. So that's been secured. We have no further concerns with leaks, but we do have personnel here on scene to monitor that, as well as the people who actually filled the tank on Monday. That's how we know that, what levels that we should have been at.
Were there other on site
There are-
that were destroyed?
No, none of the tanks were destroyed. We had our hazmat unit out there. They did an assessment of the integrity of those tanks. They seem to be intact. None of them were visibly damaged. And at this time, we're not concerned with future leaks.
Do you have a good accounting of all chemicals that were in that property? As the LAPC for the area? Do you
Right,
have a
right,
good accounting for that?
right. We do. Our inspectors They're gathering that information. We will have a full inventory of what we know. The building owner, the business owner, is here with us. He's being fully cooperative with the investigation, and so we have no question that we're going to get the full inventory and MSDSs for all the materials that were present. What I can tell you right now, what I can say is that there is no hazard with the air quality. Okay, we do have hazmat on scene. They've been monitoring throughout the day. We have had no concerns with the quality of the air that we've been breathing at this moment.
Chief, are you aware of any incidents that have happened at this particular warehouse? And when do you think you're going to have a handle on whether or not there's other victims besides the two you just identified?
Look, what we can say right now is, and I don't want to get too far into the investigation, but what we can say is that the building or the business owner has accounted for everybody on his roster. There's two that are still unaccounted for, but we won't be able to make that determination until we physically go in there and ID the victims.
Chief Acevedo, you talked about that you're asking residents to look in their homes for debris, but also you mentioned body parts. Is there any evidence or possibility that the blast could have done that, or is that just because of the force of the blast? Or is that just something you have to look into?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, blasts, you can talk to my ATF brother. When you have these type of events, they're very powerful. We know that we have a body part that's quite a distance away. We know that there's debris that's about a half a mile. And 20 years ago, we had an incident here in Houston where, like a year later, they found a body part from that incident a mile away. So, we'd rather be safe and be and err on the side of casting a wide net and having our community, which is really the best force multiplier for the law enforcement, first responders, the community itself. And I think that was on display during Harvey. That's on display every day here in Houston. We'd rather that everybody gets eyes around their property. So if there is something we can recover, then make assumptions. Assumptions in this business, if you make assumptions, you do it and you err on the side of let's cast a wide net.
So you mentioned it was about half a mile away. Was that one of the victims you've identified, or you think? Or
More than likely, yes.
Chief Pena, when do you think you'll be able? When do you think you'll be able to actually get into Ground Zero to start that kind of boots on the ground investigation?
Well, we're in the process of that now. So we were waiting initially because we still had some fires that were burning. We decided not to extinguish those because every time you add water, you have a concern with the runoff. So we decided to let those things burn before we actually started moving into the hot zone, right? But in parallel with that, we were doing assessments in the neighborhoods. At this moment, we've moved past the hazard phase. Now we're in the recovery phase, and we're systematically moving back into the area where we believe was Ground Zero. Let me put it that way.
And Chief, hay personas que no tienen identificación de Texas. ¿Cómo pueden entrar a su residencia?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Go ahead.
So how many employees were there when this happened, and do we know exactly where the two employees or the two victims, where they were when the explosion happened?
No. All we know is that we have two victims that are in the compound. As far as where they were within that compound, I'm not exactly sure at this moment.
But they were the only two in the building?
They were the only two there at the time?
We only have two that are unaccounted for. We don't have anybody else looking for their family members. So, we're assuming that they were the only two there.
You said the owners were cooperative. Has it given you any indication as to what may have happened?
Well, again, until we conduct the investigation, the cause and origin, all we can tell you is it was may have been a leak, but that's just a huge assumption at this time. Until we're able to get in there, do the cause and origin, with the assistance of our partnering agencies, we won't have a full determination.
Did the owner tell you if those two employees were there because of the possibility of a leak, or that was their shift?
No.
That was their shift?
No. They were not because of a report of a leak. There is a gym on the facility. The reports are that employees would come in early before their shift to work out. So again, we're making huge assumptions at this time. Let us finish the investigation, and that way we can give you some concrete information instead of just assumptions.
Chief,
Yes.
do you believe about 200 homes damaged, or is it?
We have about 199 homes in this area. Okay, we've assessed between 180, 190 at this point. The majority of those have received some sort of damage. The ones that are more proximal to the area of the blast are damaged heavily. Some of them off the foundation. So it's just a range of damage in that location. Yes. Mm-hmm.
We heard reports that there was a man who was injured with a head injury inside a trailer behind this business.
Mm-hmm.
And he was found after your fire department's primary search. Do you have any information on his condition? I know he was transported.
No, not at this moment. We do know that this was as maybe 2 hours or 3 hours ago. We had reports that there was 18 patients throughout the various hospitals that reported to the hospital with complaints reportedly from the blast. But from the HFD standpoint, we've transported that one individual. There may have been a second one transported later, but I know for sure that we transported one earlier this morning. Mm-hmm.
Chief Acevedo, there were residents in West Branch and
Yeah.
Carbondale that told us
Don't
they
know.
have not been allowed to go back into their homes to board up windows.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, we're going to start letting residents go back in here shortly. They have to have ID. We know that this is a large, significant Hispanic population. Some of them may not have IDs, but our officers are smart enough to know how to separate people, interview people. We have ways to identify them through their registration, all kinds of. So we want people to come back in because we do want them to board up their homes if the windows are broken, and we want them to be able to do that starting today. So we will be doing that in probably the next 30 minutes or so. Okay. Sí, es importante para la comunidad hispana. Acuérdese que es el Departamento de Policía de Houston. Aquí somos una ciudad que todos andamos juntos y nos llevamos. Acuérdese, si viene en esta área, si tiene identificación no va a tener problema entrar. Si no tiene identificación puede usar un bill, puede usar el registro del vehículo, pero los oficiales sí van a estar tratando de asegurar que no es una persona que quiere venir a robar. Pero no tengan temor, aquí no está la inmigración, aquí no está nada de eso, aquí estamos para ayudar y asistir a la comunidad. Les suplicamos que en los últimos, como 30 minutos, más o menos, vamos a empezar a dejar que las personas que están, los residentes vengan, sí, a la vez que el departamento de bomberos determinen que no es peligroso entrar a la casa, lo van a dejar entrar a su casa y si tienen que cubrir las ventanas o algo, pueden hacerlo. Okay? All right, thank you all.
This is a familiar tragedy for Houston. What did you say to those families when you were trying to get service?
I mean, look, let me just say this about this company's been here for a long time. If you look at the gym that they put together for their employees, they care about their employees. I mean, they've invested in them. You extend your condolences to them, and I'm not going to go into the details, but it's never fun to talk to people about the possibility of loved ones and the high probability the loved one died. But I think that in this city that's led by a mayor that really cares about the community and that has elected officials that care, we really are a big city that is a family. And so we wanted to be the chief, fire chief, the ATF, we wanted to be there to tell the family ourselves. And the other thing that happens is that people want to know right away. And if we haven't been able to tell them right away, we wanted to be the ones that explain to them what we have been doing, because we have to mitigate the threat to the greater community, and then we have to move on to deal with them. But I think that the fact that we did that, we want to take victims and turn them into survivors, and we want to take victims and help them restore their lives moving forward. And a big part of that is how do we as a community, as elected officials, as directors, how do we treat our community? And in this city, I think we all treat each other as family. So I think they really appreciate it. Okay, thank you all very much. There will be no other briefings here unless it's a public safety issue till the mayor gets here, and you're probably looking at 6 or 7 o'clock. We'll put that out in time at about 5, and we'll let you know where. More likely, it'll be here. Thank you. Get the Marines to get that Marine home.